Hi there, I am Musa, and this is Musa Analytics. Once again, you are all welcome to beginner series. Getting started with Microsoft Excel. In our previous class, we discussed on data validation and drop-down lists. So in this class, we're going to learn basics of Microsoft Excel chart. So, without wasting much of our time, let me quickly explain. Let me take us to PowerPoint so that I will explain what Excel chart is. Right. All right. So, basics of Microsoft Excel charts. What is a chart in Excel? A chart is a visual representation of data in Excel. It helps you quickly understand trends, patterns, and comparison in your data. What do you mean by trends? Okay, let's say for instance you work with a sales department and you want to see how your sales are doing over time. Like let's say for a particular year 2014. So you want to see how those sales are doing from January to December. You want to see which of this month has the highest number of sales so that what your management can be able to make informed decisions. So we have patterns. You want to see the patterns in the data set. When you want to compare between, let's say your sales is coming from three different angles. So you want to compare these angles and see which of these angles is performing well and which of these the angles is not performing well, so that you can ask why. So why use charts? We use charts to make data easier to read and interpret, and we use charts to highlight key points clearly. We also use chart to save time when presenting or analyzing data. So if you are tasked with making a report or presenting a report to your organization, so you can use charts to analyze. It's not always advisable to present your data in a table. It's always good to analyze, to summarize it in a chart so that uh, those people that are making decisions or in your organization can be able to see it and make a good informed decision at a glance without wasting much time. So we have common types of Excel charts. We have the column charts, we have the line charts, the pie chart, and the combo chart. So the column chart simply compares values across categories, like I've said earlier, and the line chart shows trends over time, right? Your sales over months or your sales over a year and all of that. So the pie chart displays proportions of a whole. Let's say you have a total sales. Let's say you have a total sales that is still coming from different angles, or let me say different regions and all of that. So you want to split that total sales into into these different regions to see how those regions are performing, how each of these region is contributing to this total sales, right? Okay, the next thing is the combo chart. Is the combo chart is the mix of two chart types for more detail. The combination of charts is the combo chart. You have the line and the column. You can combine the line and the column chart. It will give you the combo chart. So the combo chart is basically combinations of two charts. So when to use a chart? We use charts when you want to tell a story with your data or make your presentation more engaging and more understandable. So now we are back into Excel. So we are going to look at, we have different data sets here, data range here. So we're going to look at line charts, bar charts, column chart, pie chart. So the difference between a bar chart and a column chart is just, I think, the orientation, right? So the bar chart is horizontal while the column chart is vertical. And we have the pie chart and we have the combo chart. So let's look at the line chart. This is actually our sales from the year 2010 through 2022, and this is these are the values, right? And these are the years. So click on any. You can click on any cell within this range, and just click on Alt F1, right? Alt F1 is a shortcut for column chart, right? But in this case, uh, our required chart is what is line chart. So you come here under the, okay, you must have noticed something. If you click outside this chart, take a look at this tab. Take a look at this tab. If you click on this chart, you see that what a chart design and a format tab appears, right? So these are what? These are tabs that works with chart. So if you click on the chart area, you see what chart design. Then under the type group, you click on what? The chart type. Because our required chart is a line chart. So you see a list of charts, different charts here. So you see you click on the line chart, right? The line chart. Then click on what? Any of these charts. You can click on this and click on what? Okay. So now this is a line chart, right? It's showing us trends over what time? Over the period of 2010 through 2022. So we can see from here looking at the chart, we can see that okay, from 2010 it drops. The sales drop in 2011, then it starts what? Peak, it starts rising like through 2017, then it drops again in 2018 and it goes up in 2019, drops in 2020, and all of that. So this is basically a line chart. This is basically a line chart. So you can format here. You can see this plus sign is what is called the chart element. You can click on it if you can make some basic changes, right? Under the chart element. You can choose to what? Check this box, uncheck this box. You see the axis. You have off the axis. You can click it back. The axes are back. You can check this and uncheck it as well. So you can do what? Some basic formatting, of which we're going to see later. So the next chart that we're going to look at is what? Is the bar. Is the bar or the column chart, right? So you click on this data set here, the bar or column chart. You click on this data set here. You still click on that, your Alt F1, the shortcut key for bar chart. You see, so these are our data now. As you can see, these are data. Is what? These are our sales that are coming from 4 of our stores in Abuja. The other store is in Gogolada. The other one is in Nyanya, Kurudu, and Abaji, right? So these are sales coming from 4 different stores. So like we've said earlier, the bar chart is used what? To compare, right? Is used to compare. So this is our bar chart. So by me looking at this chart, you can see that okay, in Gogolada we have the highest number of sales. The highest number of sales we have highest number of sales coming from Gogolada. Then the next is Kurudu, Nyanya, and Abaji has the lowest number of sales, right? So we can ask question that why is Abaji having the least number of sales? Why? And why? What did we do well in Gogolada that we are getting this high amount of sales and all of that? So this is basically what? This is basically what the column chart. So the next thing we're going to look at is the pie chart and the combo chart. So this data set is what we have: the division, we have the revenue, we have the expenses, the division, revenue, and what the expenses. So let's make a pie chart based on what this division and revenue, right? You can choose to highlight it. You can choose to highlight it. So as we've said earlier, the pie chart is used to the pie chart, as we've said earlier, is used to show the proportions of a whole, right? The proportions of a whole. So let's highlight the division and revenue, right? Come to insert. You can come to insert. Then you can look for charts. Under the chart group, you can click the pie chart, right? You can click the pie chart. You can click the pie chart. This is a pie chart. If you like, you can choose the donut chart as well, right? You can choose the donut. Come to change type. You can choose the donut chart. Sometimes I prefer using the donut chart than the pie chart is. So you click on OK. So this is the donut chart, right? So now is from me looking at this chart, we can see that okay, our revenue, the most of our revenues is coming from the south, and the least is what? Is the west, right? So this is called what? This is a donut chart, but it's more like a pie chart as well. But we call it what? A donut chart. Okay, so the next thing is we want to look at what? The combo chart. That's the combination or mix of two charts. So let's say we want to what? You can choose to highlight these data. Click your Alt F1 for shortcut. Then come to change type under the type group. Then you can choose where is a line chart? There is a combo chart. You click on combo chart, right? And you click on OK. So this is our combo chart, a combination of a column and a line chart, right? So you can choose to have two. You double click on this, any of these, either the bar or the line, so that you can add the word. You can choose to have two axes, right? Either the primary. So this is the primary axis. So you can, if you just click on the chart area, just double click on either the column or the line chart, so that to add the secondary axis, right? Then you come here under the series option. You come to this series under the format data series. You come to the series options, and you click on the secondary axis. So now you have turned on the secondary axis, right? So you can see from this chart now, from this column and line chart, that's the combo chart, you can see with increase. With increase in revenue, with increase in expenses, there is also an equal increase in revenue, right? With increase in in expenses, there is an equal increase in revenue as well. So these are basically the line chart, the bar chart, the column chart, and the rest. So let's say for instance, I'm coming. Let's say for instance, we want to edit our chart. Let's say for instance we want to edit our chart. Let's say for instance you want to edit your chart. So you click on the chart area. Let's say we want to edit this title. You can either choose to double click on it and type, let's say, sales across. You can say sales across say sales across let's say sales across stores, right? You can choose to say sales across stores. All right, depends on the title you want to give the chart. So the next thing is let's say for instance you don't need these grid lines. You still come to your chart element, because all these are chart elements. So you come to this your chart element. That's where you choose to add or remove. You can choose to add or remove an element, right? So in this case, you click on this chart element. So you don't need the grid lines. You can uncheck the grid lines. In a situation where so you want to add a data label. You want to add a data label, and you want to remove this axis, right? So you come to under the axis. You come to just hover over the axis. You see this right arrow button. Click on it. You will see the primary axis, the primary, which is horizontal, and the primary vertical, right? So this is the horizontal, and this is the vertical. So all you do is if you want to remove the the horizontal, that's the name of the stores. You can choose this. You can uncheck this, so you can check it back. So if you want to remove the vertical, which is the amount, the sales, you can uncheck it. Then you can come here to add the data labels, right? So you can choose to format your chart the way you want it to be. Understand? So I think this one is better. Our sales across stores. We have the what? The four different stores from Gogolada, Nyanya, Kuru, and all of that. So you on the what? The digital label and all of that. So this chart design, under the chart design, you can come here, choose to add, if you want to add an element as well, you can come here and add the elements like I've shown you earlier. You can come here to what? Add quick layout. You can choose this type of layout. You can choose from different layouts. Look, as I'm hovering over the layout, my chart is changing as well, right? Okay, you can choose to change your color. You can have what? A monochrome. You can choose to have a monochromatic or colorful chart, right? What monochromatic means is it's just basically the same chart with different intensity, right? The different it's just it means the same color with just different intensity of that color. So this is what you can come here under the data. You can choose to switch rows and columns. You can choose to switch rows. That's if you want to swap the data. You want to swap the data over the axis. Maybe you want to change the vertical, the y-axis to the x-axis and the x-axis to the y-axis. You can switch there. You can switch it here, and here is doing set to select your data. And if you want to change your chart type, you can come here. You have different charts. You can choose from these different charts. You can choose histogram, you can choose the pie chart, line chart, and all of that, right? So if you want to move your chart towards to a new Excel worksheet, to a new Excel sheet, you can use this word move chart and all of that. So okay, so now this is all about charts. So let's move to this practice data. So for instance, let's look at pivot charts and what? Pivot table and pivot chart. So we normally use pivot table when we want to what? Arrange or summarize a large or complex data, right? Let's say, okay, we are being presented with this data set. This is what? An employee data set, right? Okay, so it's always advisable for us what to convert this what data set to a table, just like I've stated in my previous video on what, just like we've stated in our previous video on Excel table. So the shortcut for that is Control T, right? Then you convert what? Your table. You can choose to name your table under the table design, under the properties. You can choose to name your table and say, okay, employee underscore table. No, employee table, right? Yep, underscore table. Then click on enter. So you have named this table to employee table. So you can click on any cell within this table, then come to insert. Come to your insert tab. Under the tables group, you can click on pivot table. So our data was in what? In data range before we convert it to a table, right? So you click on any cell within this table and come to your pivot table. And now the pivot table is asking you, is it from table / range? Then click on yes. You just click on it. A pop-up dialog box is going to appear. So now Excel is saying, okay, do you want it to be your pivot table to be in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet? So in this case, we want it to be in an existing worksheet. So we want to see it here side by side with what? With our table, right? Then click on the existing worksheet. So the location, you choose the location. Let's say we want it to be just here, this cell. Then click on OK. So now we have our pivot what? We have our pivot table. So under this tab, you can see we have pivot table, analyze and design as well, right? So you can choose to rename this pivot table as let's leave it for now. So let's say for instance, so if you click outside this pivot table, you see that these pivot fields will disappear, right? That's to tell you that these pivot fields work with this pivot table. So let's say for instance now we want to summarize these data sets, or let's say for instance we want to, Okay, in this data set we have ID, the date that the employee started the job, the division, and all of that. Let's say, for instance, we want to know the total number of our employees, right? We want to know the total number of employees. So I think one of the best way to do that is, since our ID uniquely identify each rows on the table, right? So we cannot have two employees with the same ID. So counting this employee ID will equally what give us what the number of what the employee that we are having, right? The number of our employee, the actual number of our employee, right? So let's what let's now count this ID. So this is our pivot table, and this is the pivot table fields. So one of the things that comprises a pivot table is what the filters, the column, the values, and the rows, right? These are the filters, columns, values, and the rows. So let's click on this ID field. As we've clicked on this ID field, what it quickly Excel now quickly puts it what in the value bucket, right? It puts it in the value bucket, but what Excel added up. So, and it doesn't make sense to add this ID, right? So we want to count it. We want to count it instead of adding it. We want to count it. So you quickly come to this sum of ID and click on this drop down. A pop-up dialog box will appear. Then you see what a values. Click on the value settings, value field settings. Then you can what choose count instead of sum. You will see summarize value fields by, you will see sum, count, average, maximum, mean, and what product, and so forth. So we will choose what count, right? Because we want to count the employee ID, which is equally going to give us the number of those employees, right? So we click on count. So the custom name, you can choose number, you can choose as number of what? Number of employees. Number of employees, and click on OK. So we have number of employees, we have 25 employees. So we want to see, let's say we want to see, okay, we want to see how many of these employees, we want to see how each of these employees how many of these employees are coming from each of our divisions, right? We want to see which of these divisions, these are divisions column, we want to see the number of employees that are coming from each of these divisions, right? That means we are going to what? Group this what? We are going to group this number of employees by the what? The division they are what? They are coming from, right? Good. So that we will know, okay, how many employees are coming from each of these divisions. After knowing that, okay, we have 25 of employees, so how many of these employees are coming from each of these divisions? So we are going to group this in number of employees by what this division, right? So click on your pivot table again, then click on division. So by default, Excel now puts the division field inside the row bucket, right? So we can see from the pivot table that, okay, central has 2 people, east 7, west 3, and all of that. So this the total number of employees is now grouped into different divisions, right? Okay, so let's add a chart. Let's quickly add a pivot chart. So click on this pivot table anywhere within this pivot table, then come to your insert. Under the chart, you see recommend chart, you see maps and the rest, then you see a pivot chart. Then click on this, click on the pivot chart, right? So you see different charts, the pie, the line, the column, and all of that. So let's quickly pick on the column chart, right? So we can see that, okay, east and north, just looking at this chart, you can see that the east and the north has the highest number of staff, right? Then the central division has the lowest number of staffs, and all of that. So this is a pivot chart. So if you don't want this button here, this number of employees and division, just right click on any of these button. After right clicking it, this pop-up will appear. Then click on hide all field buttons on chart and click on OK. That's if you want to clean this chart area. So if you don't need these the grid lines, you can come to what that this chart element, click on it, you remove the grid lines. Right? So if you don't need this axis, right? If you don't need this axis, so you can just come to you can just hover over this axis. You see what a right arrow, a right arrow. Clicked on it, you remove what the primary. No, sorry, you remove the what the vertical, right? You remove the vertical. Then you can choose to add what data label to it. You can choose to remove these legend. If you don't want it, you can bring it back or remove the legend. So um you can see that what by mere looking at our chart, we know that okay, uh we have we said we have 25 employees, and seven of them are coming from the east and north. Seven are coming from the east and north, while the central has the lowest number of employees and the west. So that's how to use charts. We've looked at how we use charts, right? We have the what we use the column charts for comparison. We use the line chart to show trends over time. We use what the pie chart as well. This is the pie chart or donut chart. This is the donut chart. Then we use what the combo chart. That's combination of two chart. Then we take we look at then we see how to what we see how to use a pivot table and the pivot chart as well, and also how to what form some basic formatting on our chart just to clean up the chart areas and all of that. So thank you very much. With this, we've come to the end of today's tutorial on basics of Microsoft Excel charts. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in the next video. Do have a great day. Bye. Sorry, our next video is going to be on conditional formatting. Our next video is going to be on conditional formatting. Please do, if you found this video to be insightful, please do well to subscribe, share, like, and comment. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye.